Good morning, afternoon, and evening from wherever you are listening. Welcome back to the Breakevens podcast. My name is Corey, and as always, with me is Jack.
Hello.
So, round 5 is over, and what a round it was. Again, we had injuries, which is, for those who jumped on Aaron Hall, was not great. Those who kept Cripps would have scored less than the rest, which wasn't great. And for those like me who kept Hinge for last week and fielded DeConing, was not great. So not a great week for those that held those two, but for those who didn't and scored big, well done. You've made up some ground. So as always, you can find us on Twitter at BreakevensPod and on YouTube at the Breakevens. Hit us up on there. We're still getting plenty of interactions. We're putting polls up. Jack put a poll up there the other day, the first one. Get around it. I'm not sure if it's done or not yet, but if it's still live when you're listening or watching this, go check it out and put your vote in. All right, so today's going to be a little different. I actually haven't told Jack about it, but obviously DPP has happened. So there was about 15 odd players or relevant players anyway that got DPP status. So we'll go through those quickly, and we'll quickly go through our hot and colds, and then, as we always do, our personal teams, what we're going to do, what our plan is. Then we're going to go through the break-evens team, and then we'll sign off for the week. So, Jack, how did you go this week?
Actually, pretty good. Scored 2,256.
Nice.
Had the Conning score for Hinge, but that actually that and a couple of scores in that game actually won me every single game. The comeback. Season rank, I'm now in the 20,000s. I'm at 28,544, a jump of 11.3k.
Lovely.
Josh Kelly finally turned up again, which was fantastic.
Yeah, he decided to take his time.
Stewart and Sicily in that last game, really massive for me.
Yep.
Butters as well.
I said Butters was gonna bounce back, and he did.
Few poor scores. I think everyone had Jason Horn-Francis.
Yep.
He had like 70 or 80 dream team for 39 Supercoach.
Yeah, it doesn't help that towards the end of the first quarter you're on -8. Probably doesn't help, does
it? Rochelle was on my bench, so that wasn't too bad, but I did tell you that he wasn't going to score well this week.
Yep.
Obviously, Jaden Short, 56.
Yeah, surprising.
And is it Grundy? It's Grundy with an even worse 53.
That was the worst performance I've ever seen, and I'm probably gonna abuse him when I go to the Collingwood game, but that was shit house.
But they were the poor results. You had your McRae's and Steeles that killed it again. Yep. Cherry turned up again, which was lovely.
That's what happens when you don't get punched in the head.
I have done the one trade which we were just talking about. Hinge down to Roses, so had to do some switcheroos to get there. I have done that, and that leaves me with 287,300 in the bank.
Yep. What are you looking to do with that?
Upgrade someone.
Upgrade someone? No. I mean, that sounds like a good idea to me.
It's a good plan.
That it for your team?
Yes.
Awesome. So I'll go on to my team. So I didn't do as well as Jack. So I scored 2,170, which wasn't too bad for the round. It was 42,000. So you know, when you see that, it isn't great. But I held Cripps, and I had a Hinge on the bench. I had Draconian, which I said at the start. I did have McRae captain, so I went from round 4, put it on him, and he went absolutely nuts. So shout out to him. And yeah, pretty much the same people that did crap for you, Jack, did crap for me. But I also have Matt Rowell, who's stunk it up. Looks like he's doing a tagging role at the moment, which makes no sense at all. So yeah, trading block for me. So I've already put this out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, and this is all if Greg Clark plays from West Coast. If he plays, I'm going Mitch Hinge out. I'm doing some DPP fuckery, and I'm getting Andy Brayshaw. Matty Rowell is going out for Roses as well in the so he'll go in the forward line, and I'm going Jason Horne-Francis down to Greg Clark. So I'm possibly boosting this week, and that will leave me with $192,500 dues for next week. So basically, what I'm doing here is I'm going 2 cash cows down and going a Rowell up to Andy Brayshaw. And that means in the next coming weeks, I will be looking at getting Clayton Oliver, who by round 7 should be around 570k. And then by then, a few more cash cows should be fattened enough. And then, yeah, fit him in, and possibly another defender down back or a forward up. So that's my team as we get into the break-evens team. All right, just before I move on to the break-evens, I'm just going to go through my team overall. So I'm 11,000, so I've dropped down a couple spots there. So Jack's getting closer, and I'm going closer his way, which isn't good. But yeah, we'll go to the break-evens now. So they scored 3 points less than me, so 2,167. Our trade last week of bringing in Jack Sinclair seemed to have worked very well, but our trade a few weeks ago getting Aaron Hall was not good.
Yeah, Corey, why'd you suggest it?
He was on 71 when he got injured, and that was just before half time. So he was on track for 142. But yeah, so he's going to have to go, unfortunately. So we wasted another trade there. So yeah, 2,167, which means we're now 52,261st in overall rank. Trades this week, we were speaking just before, we're not 100% sure on where it's going to go. All we know is Aaron Hall will be going to possibly Sam Doherty. But if that doesn't work out, I'm pretty sure we're happy with Sicily. And to do so, we will be doing a Jason Horne-Francis, most likely, down to Roses, which means we'll put Nick Martin, switch him into the midfield, so he's got DPP. Or we can do it with Naish, as well. So Roses go into the forward line, and that should give us plenty of cash to possibly upgrade Jared Berry, possibly, or Heath Chapman. So if it all works out, we can get Doherty and Sicily this week. But we'll have to see our funds. If not, it'll definitely be Doherty or Sicily, and then someone in the midfield that is on the way down. But yep, so that's, as I said, it's not 100% confirmed what we're going to do, but that's what we're looking at. As we'll quickly go through the VCC options. So on Friday we have GWS versus St Kilda. Those who are feeling risky could put a VC on Steele, but I feel like he's going to get tagged at some stage. So he might still scrape the 100, but I don't think there's going to be a big score there. But he could prove me wrong. But the one to look for is Jack McRae on the Saturday against Adelaide at Marvel. He seems to go nuts at Marvel, so you just get your VC on him. Other possibles, you've got Andy Brayshaw versus Carlton. And if Cripps is back and you're feeling risky, you could put Cripps, but I reckon Andy Brayshaw, especially over there, is a better go. Or you can go Lockie Neal against Gold Coast, or Touk Miller against Brisbane. Or a big one is because Richmond seem to be leaking points in the midfield. You go a Clary Oliver or a Petraka almost, or actually a Max Gawn as a captain on the Sunday. And if you're feeling really risky and you think the man's going to bounce back, you go Brody Grundy on the Monday. Anzac Day, he usually shows up a bit more like most players do, so you have a big score there. But I think we've settled Jack on McRae into Neil, correct?
Yes, the same as the last. What are we up? What round are we up to?
Yeah, round 6, mate. Round 6.
The last 5 rounds.
So yeah, that's what we're thinking. So before we go into the round reviews, I'm just going to quickly go through the relevant DPP changes. All right, so I'll quickly go through it. So Nick Dacos got defensive status, so he's now a mid defender. Tristan Cherry has got that ruck status, he's gone forward ruck now. Pendles, mid defender. Jack Sinclair has got mid status, so he's defender mid. Zach Butters has also got mid status, so he's forward mid, but I'm keeping him in the forward line because that's where his value is. Jordan Dawson got mid status, so he's a defender mid. Dane Zorko got defender status, so I'm pretty sure he's mid defender now.
Yes.
Angus Brayshaw, the other brother of Hamish, got defender status, so he's a mid defender. Jack Siebel got his DPP from last year back, so he's a defender forward. Luke McDonald, mid defender, which with Aaron Hall out could be very handy. Could be a good pod selection, but I'm too nervous to take it. Nick Martin, and he's the reason why we can do our trades and do the DPP, is because he just got mid status, so he's a forward mid. Tom Libba got forward status, Jack.
I did see that. That was quite interesting.
Yep, so mid forward. Your boy who I'm looking to get in is Lukey Parker, got forward status, mid forward now. He's only 460 odd K, which is roughly what we paid for Heaney, and this bloke doesn't get injured. So
and I'd like to say I called that early. It was a risky call saying that he'll get the full DPP, but it actually happened.
A surprising one to me was Brad Hill got forward status. I didn't think
Who?
Brad Hill from St Kilda.
Oh, it sounded like you said Brett for a second.
Now Brad Hill, so he's a defender forward now. Mid
I
forward.
don't know how. But like, I've watched a couple of Saints games and I've seen him in the back line, and that's it.
Unless there's a and let me check, because this might be a typo. Hill. He's a defender forward. And
That's interesting.
So yeah, he's a defender forward now. Patrick Gopinski has forward status now, which could be very handy as well, along with Parker. Noah Bolter got forward status. He's not super relevant, Bolter. Dan Houston got mid status, so he's a defender mid. Conor Mcdonald from Hawthorne, the rookie, has forward status now, so he's a mid forward. That's very good. And Todd Goldstein has forward status, so he's a ruck forward. So if Cherry goes down, Todd Goldstein could be a great forward option. So that is all the DPP as we go into the first game, which I'm taking the first two this week. So I've got Brisbane versus Collingwood. All right, so it was a close game. As always, the Pies were in it because they're the new game plan, but Brisbane just too strong. So Brisbane won by 7 points.
Harris Andrews got robbed again.
Harris Andrews did get robbed. But I'm going to touch on one man now before we get into the points, and that was Brady Bundy, which I said at the start. I actually tweeted about it. It looked like he did not care out there. Like a few decisions went Brisbane's way that he gave away, and he just dropped his head and just looked lazy. Like there was a few handballs that he's just half-assed. It was really like sad to see from especially one of our leaders.
With the money he's on as well.
Yeah, so we're hoping he bounces back, but I think someone needs to kick him in the ass there.
I did say that he did it a bit last season as well, right at the start when we first started this podcast.
Yeah.
And asked, was it a worry? I wasn't expecting it this close in, like this soon into the season.
Yeah, so keep an eye on Grundy. He could be definitely someone that we might have to move on just because there's better options. But we'll get into the hots. All right, so I'm just going to do both teams together this week. So Dane Zorko 133 on one leg, very surprising. The Suitcase Hugh McCluggage 129, Jordan DeGoey 125. And he's sitting fifth in the coaches' votes at the moment, which is surprising. Lockie Neal 117, Jack Crisp 114, Zach Bailey 104, Darcy Moore 101. As we move on to the Colts, I want to start it here with Jared Lyons at 77, Taylor Adams 75. Big O 61, Braden Maynard 59, as we said, Grundy 53, absolute stinker. And that is it for the scores because no one scored negative. So I'll move over to the break even. So break evens, Nick Dacos has a break even of 9. So he's going to make plenty of cash. He go around that up to that 450 odd price range. We've got Cam Rayner 43, so you'd think there's some more money to be made
Not much.
there. Not much. Who else we have here? Nakai Cockatoo, for those who jumped on him, 59. As we start to get to the higher ones, Jordan De Goey, 74. So he's going to probably surpass that 500k mark. Jack Crisp has a break even of 76, but he did turn up last game, which means he's on track to go under 100 this week. Just because that's how his season's going. One good game, one bad game. Pat Lipinski, 78, will go up. Your boy Jack, Jeremy Howe, break even of 80. So depending on who you ask in this podcast, he might make money, he might lose money.
Oh, he's going up 150k. Come on.
Hugh McCluggage, 96. Taylor Adams, 96 as well. Pendle's 102, so he's probably at his top right now, but he could easily make the 102. Maynard 103, so he's probably bottomed out, but he scored 59 last week, so there might be a little bit more room there. Daniel Rich 115, could get that, but if he has another quiet game, could drop close to 500k. He's 524k at the moment, but he'd get real close there. Zorko 116, as we saw last week, he can get that. Let's see if he does. Lockie Neal 117, you'd think he would get that. The big
At least go par.
Yeah, well, that 117 is what he scored last week, and he didn't have an amazing game. So if he goes off, Oscar McInerney 139, he's going to drop cash. Brody Grundy 150. If we're going off last week, he doesn't get anywhere near that. But as I said, keep an eye on him for the Anzac Day match. So he could go 150. And Jared Lyons 165, and that rounds out that game. All right, so the next game was North Melbourne versus Western Bulldogs. So what an absolute snooze fest. The Doggies won by 68 points. They were up by 51 at quarter time, and you're like, this is going to be like a 200-point bloody win. But the Roos came out of nowhere and got it within, I think, 3 goals. But then the second half, Bulldogs like, yeah, we'll just take the piss in that second quarter. So here's the real us, and yeah, won by 68 points. So the Hots, for those who VC'd or seed Jack McRae, 153. Love to see it. Tim English, 138. Are you hating not starting him, Jack?
I mean, a little, but I did go Wits over him, which has proven to be very good. So,
yeah, fair. But he's averaging 121. So, no, 120. Yeah, 120, I believe. Baz Smith, 135. Aaron Norton, 129, the Coleman medalist. Midget Daniel, 108. Hamstrings Trelaw, 103. The Cherry Bomb, 103. The Bont, 102. Taylor Duray, 102. And Josh Dunkley got a hundo. As we go to the Colds, there's not really too many here, but we'll go Luke McDonald at 76. So he lost 7k this week, but with Hall out, he could go up, but he had a coldish game today, last week. Aaron Hall, 71, but that was in 2 quarters, and he's injured and only out for a month. Your guy Jack Hugh Greenwood, 66. I'm going to put Lockie Hunter here with 57. He's left the club at the moment for personal reasons. So I know we take the piss out of him sometimes because he's a seagull, but hopefully he can figure everything out and we can see him getting some salt and vinegar chippies on Marvel Stadium soon. Jack Zeeble 50, but he's been playing basically only forward. Horn Francis 39, as we spoke about at the start. Todd Goldstein 29. And that is the colds for this week as I move on to the break evens. All right, so the break evens. I'm going to put Aaron Norton in here because I think a few people might jump on him as a pod because when he kicks goals, he usually scores well. He's got a break even of 18. With Lockie Hunter out, Robbie McCoon could be a possible rookie to come in at 102k as a mid, so just keep an eye on that. Ed Richards has a break even of 33, so he's going to go back up past 300k, you would think. Luke McDonald has break even of 40, so you think he'd get that with hopefully a new role. Baz Smith 45, so you think he'd smash that and could get more mid-time with Hunter out. Tristan Cherry 46, you think he definitely gets that, and for some reason I'm seeing a lot of people trade him out. I don't get it. He's gonna make still 70 odd k, I reckon. What did he go up last week? 21k. Yeah, I reckon he's probably got 60 to possibly 70k left in him, which means he's going to go up to 400k. So why are you trading now at 336? It makes no sense to me. Hold him. Jason Horn Francis 51. It's an awkward break even, especially for a rookie. Like we've seen him go into the 90s, but we've also seen he can go under 40. Like it's tough. If there's a mid rookie like a Greg Clark that I'm looking at, hopefully, if they play, I'm not against jumping super early on a rookie if you think that they'll have the good job security like Greg Clark will. So he's possibly a hold, possibly a trade. Caleb Midget Daniel 55, you think he'd get that and go up. I'm seeing a few people jump on Cody Waitman. Do not jump on Cody Waitman. Stop it. As we move to Jack McRae as a break even of 83. Now, he's on 681k. If he goes 150 again, he's jumping up over the 700k mark. He's not going to go much cheaper than 680k this year, you'd think. So if you don't have him, now's the time to jump on him. Even though you're paying 680k, it's for a guy who can average 125 plus.
It's for the best super coach person in the whole competition.
Yeah. Go next to Tim English, 97. He could definitely get that. He could definitely just stay around that. So he's at 572k, so possibly not too much more price change, but I don't think you're trading him unless he gets injured. So it doesn't really matter then. Chalor 102, probably roughly stay around the same. Tom Liberatore, who got forward status 104. So if he goes quiet again, he could drop around 500k, but with Hunter out, here's another one like Baz Smith that could get that mid time, and then you can see
I can see Liverpool playing more mid, even if it's a wing with Hunter out.
Yeah. So is this week the week to jump on a pod? Who knows? The Bond 115. I reckon he gets that this week against Adelaide. Goldstein 116. I don't see him getting that. Josh Dunkley 124. Could get that. Won't lose too much. Aaron Hall 128. So when he comes back, he's going to drop below 500k. You'd think. And Jack Zeeble 143 will lose more money. So that's my 2 games done there, Jack. Now I believe you have West Coast versus Sydney.
Yes, and it was a demolishing. I've actually got a funny story to tell you when we're done about this game. But
Yep.
Sydney won by 63 points. The Hots, Witherden with 134.
Yep.
McLean scored 128. My pod choice with Tim English, Blicky Parker, 123.
Yep. And that's why I think a lot of people got to jump on him.
Peter Laddams and Callum Mills both had 117.
Yep.
Heaney had a low score of 112.
Hey, he was on like 70 like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. Lloyd and Rowbottom both scored 105.
Yep.
And the last one I've chucked in because we won't see it for another 10 years. Logan McDonald scored 99.
He's actually a good young player. I
He's a
rate
good
him
young
highly.
key forward. Franklin's gone out the team and he's shown some skills he has as that number one forward. Colds, Dixon 54, Big Q. Willie Rioli 35.
Yes.
I was very smart to not jump on him and advise people I wouldn't. It's a bit risky.
Yeah. Whoever suggested that? Idiot.
And I might be stiff with this one, but I've put Paddy McCartan in 68. He's been around there all year, but you know we hope for at least a little bit more with him. With the Breakevens, because I haven't fixed it yet.
The Breakevens.
Callum Mills 86. He's gonna get that in the first half. Isaac Heaney 69. Again, he'll get that in the first half. Paddy McCartan 29. He'll easily get that. Just hope he can get a 90, 100 soon, so we can get some more cash in from him.
Yep.
Big Hugh, negative 25. Love to see it, and we've nicked that out. Hopefully, he can have a bit of a better game than this week, but he's gonna make money and got job security.
Yeah. People tried trade Dixon out as well. He's got a, what's his break even again?
Minus 25.
Yeah. Why are you trying to trade him out? It makes no sense, people.
This is where I become the antagonist again. I go, do it. I dare ya. My boy Paddy Nash 20. I'm actually quite happy that I did that risky decision. He's shown something that he hasn't shown in a very long time. And last and definitely least, Willie Rioli 60. He could get it. He probably won't. But yeah, that's a bit scary for the people who did jump on Willie.
Yeah, unfortunately their midfield's come back. But saying that, he did play midfield, as I said, last week or the week before. He did have that mid rotation when they were fully fit as well. So it could just be, the wrong person's gotten injured, or it just wasn't his turn last week. But he does have potential, but also being a small forward, if he's stuck down there, he can just be a roller coaster. So yeah. Was that it for your game?
Yes, that was.
Awesome. So we'll go to St Kilda versus Gold Coast. This was a good game to watch. It was pretty tight the whole way through. The Saints got up by 26 points. I believe they're
Gold
4-1.
Coast were robbed.
I believe they're 4-1, the Saints. So
yeah,
they're definitely right up there. Playing good football. So we'll go
who
the
knew
Hots.
what one quarter could do for a club, eh?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so the Hots, Jack Steele, 131. For those who traded him at the start and we said don't do it, and you still did it, he's going to average 120. Right.
You're the antagonist.
I don't care if I sound like a whiny bitch, but it just doesn't make sense. Anyway, Rowan Marshall, 125. Obviously,
Rider out.
yeah. Jade Gresham, 117. Who's I was speaking shit on him all in pre-season, saying, nah, don't do it. He's gone up to 415k.
And he's still got way to go.
He still has way to go. So for those who jumped on him, well done. And it just shows we're not always right, but when we are, we let you know about it.
Hey, I did say Jade Gresham.
Okay. I'm not always right. Jack is.
Yeah, Jeremy Howe, working so well.
Jack Sinclair, 113. Seb Ross, 111. I've put Took Miller here, 107. Obviously, not what we're expecting from him, but he's still got the ton. Jack Hayes. One thing I did get right. He's got 105. Obviously, with Ryder out, more of a role for him there.
And he actually played.
And he actually played. So he's gone up to 242k, and he still has time to go. Jack Higgins, 103 as well. As we move on to the Colds, we'll start with Noah Anderson at 78. Not a great game for someone averaging 91. And if you think about it, you take that 78, he's actually probably averaging closer to 100. But being a mid only, 100 is not enough. But 78 from him. Matt Rowell, 64. It still says he's averaging 92, but we want more from Matt Rowell, and he's definitely someone on the chopping block. Wanganen, Millera, 44. You want a bit more out of him, saying he was a high price rookie. Marbiel Chol, 43. He's done a hammy, I believe.
Yeah.
So there's
he did the string.
There's 4 weeks of his footballing career gone.
Need more energy with it.
And to finish it off, Jack's boy, Alex Davies, with a huge 19.
Yeah, look, I think that's his top score of the year.
Definitely not, because you were trying to get him in after a few 80s or something. As we move over to the break even, someone we've been talking about trading in, and that's Malcolm Roses, 130k forward. He's averaging 73. He's got a break even of negative 71. So unless he does an Aiden Bonner, he should get that.
I mean, if he does an Aiden Bonner, he still gets it.
Jack Hayes, negative 22. He's still in the negatives. Marcus Windhigger. He's played his 2 games, averaging 43 as a mid forward, 117k. He's got a break even of negative 8. I'd probably stay away. He's probably not going to get much cash gen there, and his job security isn't great. Jade Gresham, 17. You think you get that. Wanganeen Miller, 18. We'll get that as well. But it just shows you probably won't go up too much more. Jared Witt, 38 break even. So he's going to go up over the 500k mark this week. For those who jumped on Lockie Weller or looking to jump on, 39, but he's averaging 88. So Not great. Brad Hill, for those who are on the Brad Hill hype, 46. Definitely should get that. Alex Davies, 62. There's no hope in hell that he's getting 62.
He won't get 20.
Rowell Marshall, 64. With Ryder out for one more week, he'd definitely say he gets that unless he gets injured, which he did have a corpse thigh. But he'll be playing this week. Noah Anderson, 70. I think he bounced back and he gets that. Jack Sinclair, 72. So could jump up probably 15 to 20K there, I'd say. As we move into the higher ones, we have Matt Rowell, 103. Definitely could get that, but as of late, I'm not feeling it. So he might lose more money. He lost $200 last week. Brad Crouch, 113, break even, averaging 98.
He could easily get that.
I think he could, and he's playing some very good football. So keep an eye on him for a possibly cheeky pod, but he needs to be averaging a bit more though. Jack Steele, 115. He is at his lowest point right now, 640K. This week is the week to jump on Jack Steele. If you don't jump on
unless
him now,
you traded him out, don't get him back in.
Yeah, unless you're an idiot and trade him out, that ship has sailed for now. Took Miller, 132 against Brisbane. I'm going to say he gets that only because it's the rivalry and he's had a few quiet games, so I'm expecting him to bounce back in a big way. That's that game done and dusted, which means, Jack, you are moving on to Adelaide versus Richmond.
Oh my God, I am. The Crom won by 19. It should have been a lot more. I'm not going to lie. It should have been a 50-plus point win by Adelaide. They just wanted the ball more. That's all you can say.
Yep.
And then when it went inside 50, they were just kicking goals for fun.
Yep.
That's why I say Short had his bad week. It wasn't anything that he could control. It's just they were getting first ball used from centre bound and they were kicking a goal, and that's just how the game went all day.
Yep.
So there's not much he can really do about it.
And
so
the big Texan.
I wouldn't worry about Short too much. Hots, you got Rory Laird, 120. He's continuing his Laird form. Hex Walker, 116. And did you hear? Brad Scott is coming down hard on Taylor Walker. We could be seeing a suspension.
Oh, really?
During the week, he went on Triple M Adelaide or some radio show and had an absolute whinge about the incident on the boundary line with Frank Cochin. And Brad Scott has come out and said it's unacceptable. We're not going to give him a warning or a fine. We're going down hard on him.
Okay.
I haven't heard anything since, but he wasn't happy. Brad Scott has not had a smile on his face since the footy finished because everyone's complaining about a lot of things.
Well, Cochin should get a fine, possibly.
He did get a fine.
Yeah.
He got a fine. My thing is, Walker should have got a fine as well with how he retaliated. I felt like if Cochin got a week, Walker should have got a week. If Cochin got a fine, Walker should have got a fine because he retaliated by shoving his head into the ground, which the MRO and the AFL said they are protecting the head, which obviously they don't give a shit. But Cochin was definitely in the wrong chucking the foot out. I'm not defending that action at all.
Bloody Richmond bias.
Well, not really, because I said Cochrane should have got a week as
Yeah,
well.
I'm joking, mate. It won't.
Grr.
Calm down, Trent. Don't kick me.
So what's up? Continuing, Riley O'Brien, 115. Duday, 113, and in that role he played, he looked very damaging. He's a good pod option to look at the next few weeks. My boy Ben Keys and Himmelberg both scored 106. Big
Himmelberg
Elliott's had the game of his life.
He's an absolute spud.
Just shows how good Richmond were. Matt Crouch, 102. Dawson, 101. Man of the moment, Trent Cotchin, 121. Probably the highlight of the game for any Richmond fan was he actually took the piss. He took the piss. And Prestia, again, 104. That's 2 weeks back from injury with the ton. That's good to see for any risky people with a pod choice. Going in the colds, Roy Sloane has done his ACL.
Oh, has it been confirmed?
Yeah. 12 months of his season gone.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
People are
such a good player.
Obviously, rumours gone around everywhere about a lot of players, but they reckon Sloane will definitely won't be captain next year, and we could also see an early retirement as he has had a very injury past.
Yeah.
But again, they're rumours, so I wouldn't jump to any conclusions yet with that.
Yeah, I mean, you hope it doesn't go down that path, but not saying that Rory Sloane is on this level, but if you look at Chris Judd, it took one knee later in his career, and he's like, you know what, I've given everything I can. I'm not going to get back to the level that I was playing at. It's time to go. So hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully we see him out there more, because he's such a good, hard, tough player, and the young Crows need him around.
Oh yeah,
around the team to learn more, but also could open up a spot for a young guy as well to get an opportunity. So yeah, hopefully it's not the end, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
It's definitely a scary injury, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Next, Rochelle, 49. We spoke about it earlier. Not going to go too much more into that.
Yeah, well, okay,
Hugo Rowell-Smith. Apparently he got punched in the chest and he was subbed out with chest pain.
No, that's usually what happens if someone punches you.
Yeah, no, but apparently someone punched him, and what I'm worried about is if someone's punched him, how come nothing came up with the match review officers?
I think I saw it. There was footage of it. And look, someone punched him. I don't remember who it was, right? It might have been Brady Smith. I'm not sure, but yeah, someone punched him. It wasn't like bad. It was that classic, behind the play. He's having a little niggle. I'll just have a quick jab, just be like, hey, don't fuck around, all right? But maybe he's just a bitch and went off crying. But come
on, look at his hair. There's no way you went off crying.
In my opinion, at worst, it was only a fine if anything does come to it.
Like I said, I don't remember it. I just saw that he was subbed out and it said punched. And the thing that worries with that is, was it 2017 where those little jumper punches were getting 1-2 weeks?
Yeah,
Have
but
they jumped off that?
that was at the chin. This was just like a jab to the
Yeah,
upper body chest area.
yeah. I'm just having a go at the match review here with their inconsistency.
Yeah.
Because they say anything touches the head, it's weak. You see some get weak, you see some get off.
Yeah.
They've said in the past any type of punch will get a weak, this gets off, and there's been other punches in the past that's gotten off.
Yeah.
It's the match review office. They're struggling. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Hopefully, they leave with Gillen. In continuation, Thompson Dow had a low score of 55, but like Short, if you've got him for the money, I wouldn't worry too much, as he's that forward mid who gets it and attacks the full, puts it inside the forward 50, and our mids didn't get much of it chance, so that let his score down a bit. Jaden Short 56. I explained it at the start. It's not his fault. It's everyone's fault, from the mids and to the key defenders. And Dan Rioli 64. Again, was Short. He couldn't really do much to change it. Going into the break-evens, Ben Keys is at 126. If you're looking on getting him, I'd be looking next week. I think he's going to drop a bit. He's going to turn up like every week, but I think he'll be around that 110 mark like he has been the last 2 weeks, I think it is. Jordan Dawson, 119. I think he's dropping in price as well. He looks like he's going to score that 95 to 105 range for the season.
Yep.
Not as good as we were hoping, but it's still a good score for a defender. Rochelle 6, he's got lots of money to make still if he can bounce back. Rory Laird 100, he's definitely going to make that. Dan Rioli's at an 85, so it's at a stage where it's like, do you jump off or do you risk it for a week?
Yep.
I think him along with Richmond are going to bounce back this week. I don't think they'll win, but I think they will put a fight on and show that last week was just last week, or at least I hope so. It's very hard when you come up against Melbourne. Jaden Short, 148. People who don't have him will be licking their lips.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to drop, and he like, obviously this week was one poor one, but I think he's showing that he's the best defender Supercoach-wise this season.
Yep.
With his scores.
Yep.
And he's going to drop, so people who didn't start him, give it 2-3 weeks, he will be nice and cheap for him. And like I said, to end this off, Thompson Dow 31 is going to bounce back at that 70-80 this week if he keeps his spot. He's easily going to get that and make some more money. Like I said, I wouldn't worry. I just worry if they're going to drop him off one poor performance or not.
Yep.
And that's all I've got for the Crom.
Awesome. So I'll go to the next game, which was Melbourne versus GWS. I thought this was going to be a much tighter game, but GWS really didn't show up, and Melbourne just went, here's 67 points on you. So, couple things. No Bruce for GWS, as we know, got suspended for the elbow, which means Matt Flynn came in, and for those Bruce owners like myself, it wasn't great seeing Matt Flynn actually play well. We were hoping for him to spud it up, because that means he'd go out and then Bruce would be the number one ruck. But Leon Cameron has come out and said Bruce will be straight back in. They're just not sure on Flynn. Toby Green is back this week as well. He's had his 19 weeks suspension done. So he's back, which could be even better for Bruce. But anyway, we'll go to the hots for this game. So Callum Ward, 134, averaging 91. Could be a very good draft option. Seems to be playing well. Stephen May, 131, was solid as a rock. Max Gorn, 130. The guy's back. I'm not sure what his break even is. I'll go through it in a second, but I don't think he's going to drop much more if he keeps going at this pace. Clayton Oliver, 118. I said last week I was worried about the tag. Didn't have to worry. He did drop 17k, and he's possible to drop in a little bit more depending on how he averages. Christian Petrarca, 116. Tom Green, 115. He's looking like a good pod. He's averaging 124. Did not expect that from him. And
I did say watch out for a potential breakout.
Yep. He looks to have taken Josh Kelly's spot, Jack. Is that the way you see it? Or have you not watched much GWS?
No, I've watched it a bit. It's like Kelly does Kelly things for the first 2 quarters. And then the second half, it's either he sits on a wing or he's sitting at half forward and he's not getting into the game much.
Yeah.
I would personally say he's taken Taranto's spot. I honestly reckon Taranto stays forward.
Okay.
Because Taranto was that big body mid that would get the ball out for the Kellys and Canelio to run onto it. Tom Green's been doing that exceptionally well.
Yep.
And I honestly think he's taken Taranto's role. I think Tanner Bruin is ruining Kelly a bit.
Yep.
He's playing a lot of mid-minute in that Kelly role.
Yep.
So I think it's more Tanner Bruin taking Kelly and Green taking Taranto.
Yep, cool. That's I was actually watching this game last weekend, and Tanner Bruin was someone who did catch my eye there. Tom Green, 115. I think what helps him is he gets the contested ball, but he's been hitting the scoreboard a lot, which is what you want.
He can kick goals. He's an all-round mid.
Yep. So I reckon a lot of people are going to jump on him. Matt Flynn, 113. As I said, I didn't want that to happen because I'm a Bruce owner, but I think everyone and their dog are going to jump on Bruce this week because he has a break even of negative 91, I believe. Josh Kelly, 106, as you said at the start. Lockie Ash, 108. And Stephen Canelio, 96. As we move on to the Colds, Lockie Whitfield back down to 73. He's someone I'm stuck with at the moment. I don't want to.
I'm glad I got rid of him.
I don't want to.
Yeah, trading out Lockie Whitfield I'm very happy taking that choice. He did score a couple of 90s, but it won me my 2 rounds, gave me Sicily, so I'm not fussed at all trading him out early.
If you traded him, well done. So Luke Jackson got a 60, which wasn't great. Isaac Cumming didn't play, but apparently he's playing this week as well. So
do we know why he was out?
If I look at the match notes here, if Supercoach wants to work, it's on my phone. I've got fat fingers. No, it's not coming up for me. It was probably health and safety protocols.
Oh yeah.
Because he's back this week and he only missed the one. So we'll go through the break evens. Proust -93. I was a couple off there, so that's my bad. As we move on, there's not too many relevant players, just because these two teams are not super relevant. But Stephen May 71, so he's got 131, so you could definitely make that. Max Gawn 80, you think he'd get that. Jackson 81, again, you'd probably think he'd get that. Jake Bowie 83. It's probably time to jump off Bowie at 373k. Callum Ward 86 could be a good pod, as I said. Canelio 87. Still has money to make, but I think he's a keeper. We were speaking about this earlier. He's probably a keeper for the rest of the season. Tim Taranto 101. You think he might lose some money there. Whitfield 103, could get that, but he hasn't turned up this season. Tom Green 110, you'd think he'd make that. Josh Kelly 111, probably stay around the same. Matt Flynn 120 for those who are looking at him. And Petraka 132, probably going to lose some money there. So getting cheaper.
I mean, he's playing Richmond, so he could score 200.
Yeah, and Clayton Oliver 174. So in round 7, he'll be around 570k. So jump on him then. That's that game done. So Jack, that means you have Carlton.
Arguably the game of the round.
Yeah.
Carlton Port. Carlton won by 3 points. Getting into the hots. Sam Walsh 128. Harry Mackay 115. George Short 111. Charlie Curnow 104. Butters 130.
Bounce back.
Oh yeah. Ryan Burton 111. He seems to be a decent player this year. I think he's averaging around that high. He's 90 mark. He's turned up a few times as well. Dan Houston 108 and Darcy Burn-Jones 107. It looked like it was a week for tall forwards this week. You had Himmelberg, Mackay, Curnow, all get big scores. Tex Walker. Getting into the cold, it was very hard to find any because we listed half the players there. Sard was 73, Doherty 86, and Travis Boak 88 were the only 3 I felt were relevant.
Yep.
Getting into the break evens, people who chose Charlie Curnow, you're laughing at us. We both said to get off him after round 2, and 2 tons later, he's on 17 break even.
Yep.
And he's made over 100k. Sam Doherty 112. Think he'd bounce back and get it. Sam Walsh 124. Is Cripps back?
He wants to come back, but Carlton came out and said he has to get through training. So he's a 50-50 at the moment, but he feels like he's ready to come back. So
if Cripps plays, I think Walsh won't get it. If Cripps doesn't play, I can see another 128 from Walsh. I just feel like Cripps in there, his score will drop just under the 120 mark.
Yeah.
Walsh. Talking about the man, I'll put him in here because I wasn't sure if he was playing or not. Cripps 147. He could get it. I wouldn't rely on him getting 147, but he'll definitely score 120 plus if he plays. I wouldn't worry too much about his money if you have him. Jackson Mead, 41. He'd be one who would be close to gone if you don't get rid of him this week.
Yep.
Travis Boak, 157. I can't see him getting it. I can see him bouncing back and getting 100 again, but nowhere near 157.
Yep.
And Zach Butters, 71. Hopefully this week accelerates his season and he can make some more money.
Perfect.
That's all I've got.
All right. I had the next game and the last game for me, which was Essendon versus Freo. I didn't actually get to see this game, being Easter, obviously festivities. So I was keeping an eye on the scores, but did not see it. But Freo won by 48 points, which is something I was not expecting at all. Especially down in Melbourne, I thought Essendon were a big chance. I did feel like it was going to be close because Freo have been playing well, hence they're second on the ladder. But Essendon have been playing poor, so I thought it would balance out. But the Dons would just get over the line, but that did not happen. So into the hots. Someone I predicted to go 100 this year and hasn't until this week was Dyson Heppel, who scored 143. Could this be the kickstart? He's averaging 84.6 now because of that big 100, and he usually goes crazy on Anzac Day. So draft leagues, keep an eye out. Andy Brayshaw, 132. Shrek Darcy, 121. As you were talking about before, Jack, it was week of the big men because Matt Taberner kicked 7 straight and scored 115.
Bit stiff, I reckon. You'd think 7 straight, they'd give him a bit more.
Yeah. But I mean, if it was a close game, he probably would have. Darcy Parish, 113. Nathan O'Driscoll, back-to-back tons, 103. So 104 last week, 103 this week, which means 102 this coming week.
And more money.
More big man, Rory Lobb, 101. And I want to put Brendan Cox here, 99, because we don't usually see that. And Will Brodie, probably the selection of the year, scored a 94. And
problem with Brodie and those people who have him is he could easily be averaging 130, 140 like it's nothing, but he's getting 60% time on ground. He's barely getting on the field and he's killing it. So, like, I see it every week. They're like, when is Longmore going to give Brodie the time on ground that you usually see for players? And
yep. So I actually so I'm part of a Facebook group called Serious Super Coaches, and I can tell you now, 90% of the people are on there cannot be serious super coaches. There are some absolute nuffies on there, but someone was complaining about Will Brodie's time on ground, and I said, well, you obviously haven't seen this guy play because he does so much running off the ball that when he gets the ball, and he's usually a good user and is impactful, what you don't see is he's run 70 meters to collect the ball and then run another 20 to 30 to release the ball. So he's run 100 meters, and he does this consistently. So that means in those short times he's on the ground and he's working hard, it means he will have to go have a rest because no one can do that for 80% game time. Doesn't matter how fit you are, right? As hard as he works, no one's going to be able to keep it up. So he's always going to have a low time on ground. But he's averaging 99.2 with 65 to 70% time on ground. Like you can't complain.
60, I think it is.
Yeah. This is a bloke that is averaging 99, started at 220k, has now bumped up to 405k, and has a low break even, and he's probably a keeper in our forward lines. Like, you can't complain and be like, needs more time on ground. No, he doesn't. He scored 135 2 rounds ago. Like, yeah, he's not going to pump out big, consistent, like 120s, 130s, but I don't really see him dropping under 85 too often. It will be interesting when Nat Fife eventually comes back, but for now, those who started Brody,
if he comes back,
so those who started Brody, firstly, well done. He's another guy that I missed out on, but you couldn't get them all. So well done. He's probably a keeper. He's the selection of the season. I would keep him unless he has a massive form drop, but he's an absolute gun. So stop complaining, those people out there. As we move
tell them.
As we move on to the Colds, Jordan Ridley 82. I think those who started him, I think you have to get rid of him. It's not looking great for him this season. The breakout king, Caleb Sarong, he's absolutely disappointed me. 77, he's averaging 76. I'm completely off the train now.
You sound heartbroken.
I do, because you know how much I was hyping this bloke up. We both were. And he's absolutely let us down. So, yeah, fuck you, Caleb. Dylan Shield 70. You'd expect a bit more from him. Hayden Young 68. For someone averaging 88, he's a bit up and down at the moment. I also want to point out Ben Hobbs played his first game and scored 65. So if he keeps that up, could be handy. Dave Mundy 57. Michael Walters came back down to his level, 54.
Came back to reality.
Peter Wright 47. He's back to reality. Heath Chapman 44, possibly someone to look at moving on. And Archie Perkins 21 was not great for him, and Andrew Phillips 4 got injured. As we move on to the break evens, Nathan O'Driscoll negative 69, plenty of money to make. I'm going to say him again. Neil Erasmus didn't play this week, was pretty stiff, but I was out of him and O'Driscoll, and I'm glad they went O'Driscoll. If he does play, negative 31. Nick Martin is similar to Jack Hayes, negative 16. Has that mid DPP, so we can start swapping him now. So he's got plenty of money to make. Tex Wanganeen, I feel like he's a chance to play this week. He's played 2 games, break even of 2. Will Brodie, break even of 6. So as I said, there is plenty of money there to be made. So do not get rid of him for those people out there that are morons. Dyson Heppel, 38 break even. Should start to bump up that price again. Michael Waters 41, no chance of getting that.
Oh, that's a bit stiff.
No, mate, he's no chance.
You might get 41.5. You never know.
Heath Chapman 56. All it takes is another big score from Chapman, but I don't see it happening, honestly. So it might be time to jump off the train there. Those who started with Dylan Shield, 89, not looking great, to be honest. Darcy Parish, 102. I think he gets that Anzac Day smash out of 140 last year, I believe, or it could have been even more. I'm not even going to mention Sarong anymore. Luke Ryan, 121. Scored a 9-1 last week, which means he's due for a ton this week. Andrew Brayshaw, 123, definitely someone who could get it, but if not, probably stays around the same anyway. Ridley, 135. You have to jump off now before he goes under 500k. Shrek Darcy, 152. We'll drop some more money, and Dave Mundy, 158. And that's all the teams for me this week. So, Jack, you have Hawthorne versus Geelong.
And I'd like to start by saying, splash. Oh, wait, Tom Hawkins just landed. Hawthorne won by 12 points. You won't hear me say this often, but thank God Hawthorne won. I didn't tip him, but I couldn't be happier that Hawthorne won. Stuff you, Tom Hawkins. Stuff you, Geelong. You couldn't get the umpires to win you 2 weeks in a row, even though they tried. Getting in the hots, Titch Mitchell, 142. I think he is ramping up and he will be the player we expected from round one. I think he was having the niggles with his groin, which was hindering his score a bit, but he's had 2 scores in a row, 120 plus. I don't see that slowing down.
So who do you go this week? Let's say someone's upgrading. Do you go Tom Mitchell or do you go Jack Steele?
Ooh. Well, if you traded Jack Steele out, you go Tom Mitchell. That's a 50-50. If you want to go with everyone, you go Steele. If you want someone who will be around the same score-wise, and I think he's cheaper, and less ownership, I'd go Mitchell. But you're not going wrong either way. So, and obviously, if you have Mitchell and no Steele, you go Steele. If you have Steele, don't have Mitchell, you go Mitchell.
I think you have to go Steele just because he's at his lowest. He's a top 2 to 3 midfielder. And I just don't like Mitchell's role. I'm worried about it at Hawthorne. I just feel like Sam Mitchell at any point could be like, no, mate, you're spending some time in the forward line. And then you get these inconsistent scores.
And then you get forward DPP.
Yeah, no, not that much time forward. But
you never know what he's saying, Mitchell.
It's true. I think he's a wait and see until around the buys.
Yeah, well, like I said, I think that's going to kickstart his season.
Yeah, I just got my doubts.
Which everyone has it with different players.
Yep. If I was looking for someone to as like a last upgrade and it was out of Steele and Mitchell, I'd be going Steele every time, and that's the way I look at it.
But you're there comparing an M2 to an M4. Who would you go if you got Tom Mitchell or Marcus Bontempelli? I think that's a fairer comparison if you're looking at that M4.
Yeah,
I think it's Tom Mitchell.
There's been a lot of people out there that have been asking Steele or Mitchell, and there's a mate of mine who goes, I might bring in Tom Mitchell, and I said, do you have Jack Steele? He said no. I'm like, well, that's the person you go.
Yeah.
And basically because I'm worried about Mitchell's role, and I'd prefer to wait to see that he has the right role where he can score, and if that means I have to pay $650K for him, that's fine. I've brought in Jack Steele, who is going to hurt you more if you don't have him, because that's a big factor. And then I'm happy to pay the extra cash for a Tom Mitchell that's averaging 120 plus.
I just feel like they're comparing M1, M2 to a M4.
Yeah.
Like I would be putting Mitchell, Oliver, Bond, all in the one bracket just below your Steeles, McRae's, Tooks, which Tooks been a bit low the last couple of weeks, but that's just how I feel.
Yep, and to answer your question, I'd go Bont over Mitchell as well, just because the next 9 games for Bulldogs are against some pretty average sides. So
yeah, I wouldn't go Bont because he's been very up and down. He's been the one midfielder who, for the Bulldogs, who, like, I'm not counting Libba because he's played forward 90% of the game every week, but he's like the one midfielder he's been the weakest link, I'd say.
Yep.
And he's getting those scores around 100 to 105, where Mitchell's going 140.
Yes,
120.
But you have to think before those, he was going 80.
Injured.
No, but
last season, Cripps was going at an 80 playing through an injury. Same with Lockie Neal.
Yeah,
Look at him now.
But what you just said is at the start, this season, Bond's been going at 105, right? Where Mitchell's been going at 80s up until this point. And last year, Bond did the same thing. It was around this time where Bond went on like a 9 to 10 game streak of him averaging 120. And he's been the more consistent than Mitchell so far. Yes, Mitchell's had one big score and one normal score for that you'd associate with Tom Mitchell, but that doesn't make up for the 4 games of 80. But yeah, anyway, I think we got way off track then. Continue.
Well, that just shows how both our minds work, really.
True.
So, there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone has their own opinion. You're wrong, but we'll continue. Like I said at the start, Sicily 126. I'm just gonna, we've already spoken about that. Gunston 115, another big forward, another big score. I've put in Dylan Moore, another 90 from him. He's I feel like he's doing a bit of a Josh Kelly. In the first half, he'd be on 60, 70, and then he's scoring a 90 at the end of the game.
Yeah. There was a stat. I think it was like halfway through the second quarter or something. They said Dylan Moore has kicked all his goals in the first half. He has not kicked one after half time. I'm not sure if he did on the weekend, but
I couldn't tell you.
But up to half time on Monday, he hadn't kicked a goal after half time.
Yeah. He's someone, if he puts 4 quarters in, he averages 110 as a small forward at the moment. Joel Selwood, 149. Shocker. You won't see anywhere near that again from Joel Selwood this season. You'll probably see him turn up a few times, but not go 140 plus, in my opinion. Tom Stewart, 129 again, spoke about it at the start. Very happy. And then I'll move on to the last one. Mark Blitzard scored 104. Going into the cold, Ned Reeves played about 2 minutes, and then his shoulder popped out.
Looked like a bad one as well. He was squirming
This is
like someone shot him.
This is a worry. I'm surprised you didn't say it when we're talking about Tom Mitchell. Who do Hawthorne have to ruck? Ben McAvoy's out with neck injury. Ned Reeves is out with a shoulder dislocation. They lost Segler.
Max Lynch comes back this week.
Jeez, that's not helping Mitchell out at all.
And if not, they'll do what they did on the weekend, and Connor Nash and Jacob Kaczynski will swap in the ruck.
Like that's my point. It's kind of fucked them over.
Yeah.
Like everyone has injuries, but it's Gold Coast last year. Their one ruckman went down. Obviously, Hawthorne's had 2, but they struggled without that big presence in the middle. So that's a very scary time for being a Hawthorne fan, seeing your 2 main ruckmen who have both been impressing be injured.
Yeah.
Continuing, O'Meara 58. I don't think he's an option. Might have to stop bringing his name up because that's just his consistent.
Played a lot of time forward.
Yeah. Who knows why? Sam Mitchell. Conor Mcdonald 53. We want to see a 70-80 from him in a week or 2 to help boost his cash gen, but he's still got some money to go. GF 87. That's like for his price, we want him scoring hundreds or at least 95. Jack Henry got subbed. I don't know what it was.
Was it a hamstring or a calf or something? I thought it was soft tissue, but don't quote me.
Jed Hughes went off late with a hamstring complaint, I think it was.
He came
Not
back
sure
on.
if he came back on.
Yep.
Okay, I wasn't too sure on that because didn't see him. And Tyson Stengel 66. Look, I think Stengel's run is coming to an end. Going down a bit more, I just realised on another page, Patrick Dangerfield 79 and DeConing 48.
Yep, so apart from round 1 from Stengel, it's been pretty disappointing. On Dangerfield, there's a thing that came out today. He's had a few niggles, so they've been playing a bit more forward. So that's why his form's down a bit. So hopefully he can get over those niggles and start pumping out some big hundreds.
Moving on to the I didn't mention Josh Ward. I just don't think it's relevant anymore, to be honest. Break even, Dangerfield 131. I don't see him getting it. DeConning -1. He, like we said the last couple of weeks, a slow burner. Expect him to stay around that 50 mark. Tommy Stewart 98. I'm gonna go out there and say he gets it. He was at 103 last week and the week before, as he missed last week, and we were like, oh, he might stay there because he's got 103 like every week, come out 129. So it's great for us who started him, not for people who were looking to bring him in at a cheaper price. Stengel, like I said, he's got a 33 break even. You've got maybe 2 weeks left, I'd say. If he keeps the 60s up, obviously, if he gets a ton, that's going to drop.
Yep.
We never know what could happen. Conor Mcdonald, 31. He's probably the same with Stengel for cash wise. Again, could drop a 90, 100, and that goes down a bit, and we're laughing, but I wouldn't rely on him getting that.
Yep.
But he hit his break even, I believe. Sicily, 54, money, and the last break even for the people who still have Ward, he's got a 26. So with McDonald, he's probably going in a couple of weeks.
And that's it.
All.
Awesome. So before we sign off, with these break evens, and usually around this time it's trade season. So this is when everyone starts, downgrade, upgrade, double downgrade. Upgrade is when we start to bring in people. When we start to get rid of those rookies. One thing you have to think about is how much more money can this rookie make, right? And same for primos that are losing cash. How much more money can this primo drop, right? For instance, Jaden Short is projected to go down 19k this week. If you're trying to upgrade your backline, do you leave 200k in the bank and wait till next week and then get Jaden Short at his lowest, or do you jump on him now?
You'd probably want to wait the week.
I think you jump on him now, right? Because most people have.
It does depend. Like if you're looking at like a Chapman up, I would wait the week because he's got more money to make. But if you got someone like a Hinge who needs to go out, I would do it now.
So because the points you're going to lose, right? Who do Richmond have this week, Jack?
Melbourne.
Okay, so the ball.
That's why I'm saying wait the week.
Well, the ball's going to be down there in Richmond's defense a fair bit, and if Melbourne are
it was last week.
if Melbourne are inaccurate, he's going to get kickouts. That's the one thing that happened last week was Adelaide were kicking pretty straight for most of the game.
Yeah.
Right. So you're going to lose. Let's say you have McCartan, right? Because he's the one that's been playing consistently, right? You've got McCartan. He's going to score you between 60 to 70, right? Short can go 110, 120. So that is 50 to 60 points you're going to lose this week. And you've just got 240k sitting there. And next week, that's when we start to look at our Petrakas and our Clayton Olivers. Are you going to be able to upgrade 2 people next week? Are you able to go a McCartan, a Chapman, or a Hinge up to a Short? And can you afford a Jared Berry or a Horn Francis to go up to a Clary or a Petrarca? No, it's not. It doesn't work that way. You're going to have to use a boost. So you really have to think, is that extra 19k worth the wait? Or is it going to benefit my team? Yes, I'm not getting Short at his absolute lowest, but I'm getting the closest to his lowest that he's going to get. So you snap him up. And that's my thing with Horn Francis is, yes, he's got break even 51. He's probably going to get that, right? But it benefits my team more doing that trade this week than it does next week. because in the next couple of weeks, I'm looking to get clarity. So I'm going to need to drop another cash cow to get those funds. And then I already have a cash cow already starting to get ready to make money. So that's how it all works. That's why I'm looking to get rid of a Horn Francis, just because I think he's probably going to make 25 extra K from his price right now. And to me, it's better to go now rather than in 2 weeks when he's at his highest. So it's something to think about. It's the best part about Supercoach is the strategies and the way different people think. Because as you said, Jack, you want to get him at his lowest, which that's Supercoach. You get the good players at their lowest.
Yeah.
You get rid of the rookies at their highest. But it's not a perfect world, and it doesn't work out that way. So it's really time to think, is that extra 25K going to benefit me this week? Because yes, it's going to benefit you in 2 weeks' time, but you want to lose 100 points in those 2 weeks. So then you're just falling behind. So something to think about. Make sure you check those break evens. We've gone through most of them here, but there's no visual. So if you want to visualize them, you can hit us up on in the YouTube comments or on Twitter, or you can go to sites like FootyWire and stuff like that, where they have the break evens there. You just search for the player, boom, it'll come up, here's break even. And then usually it has their price generation projected, like it does on Supercoach. So just keep that in mind. It's trade season, it's hectic. Choices you make now are going to affect your team at the end of the season and how you're ranked. You have anything to add on that, Jack, before I sign off?
No, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. So that'll do us for today's podcast. As I just said, if we've missed anyone that you want to know their break evens, or you want to know what their price is looking to go to, hit us up on Twitter or YouTube. On Twitter, we're at the Break Evens Pod, and on YouTube, we're the Break Evens. Good luck to everyone in round 6. Toby Green's back. Hopefully he doesn't get suspended by punching someone in the head.
He'll get suspended for talking.
Yep. I mean, he could abuse the umpire, so we'll see. But thank you all again for your ongoing support. And as always, and until next week, it's bye for now.
See ya.